The moment a baby is born, the world erupts in celebration. Pink and blue balloons, tiny socks, and endless congratulations flood the room. Everyone asks about the baby, how much they weigh, if they're sleeping, whether they have their mother's eyes. But no one asks the mother how she is, not really. Not in the way that matters. Because beneath the surface of her tired smile, there's a storm brewing, one that no one warned her about. It's not the baby blues. It's not postpartum depression. It's something quieter, more insidious, something that claws at her in the dead of night when the house is finally still. It's postpartum anxiety, and no one is talking about it. Want a happier, healthier family life? Hit subscribe now for science-backed secrets to better love, parenting, and self-care, delivered straight to your heart. Also tell me in comments that from where you are watching my video. Now let's start. You've heard of postpartum depression, the tearful breakdowns, the numbness, the overwhelming sadness. But what about the mothers who aren't crying? The ones who are wide-eyed, wired, hearts pounding as they check their baby's breathing for the 10th time in an hour? The ones who play out horrific scenarios in their minds. What if I drop them? What if they stop breathing? What if I'm not enough? This is postpartum anxiety, and it's far more common than anyone admits. Research shows that while 1 in 7 women experience postpartum depression, nearly 1 in 5 struggle with postpartum anxiety, yet it remains in the shadows, dismissed as just new mom nerves. But this isn't normal worry. This is a relentless, gnawing fear that steals joy, that turns the most beautiful moments into minefields of what-ifs. Imagine this, you're holding your newborn, their tiny fingers curled around yours, and instead of soaking in the sweetness, your brain is a horror film. What if I fall asleep and roll over on them? What if they choke and I don't notice? What if I'm failing them already? The thoughts come like tidal waves, unstoppable, suffocating. You don't say them out loud because you're afraid people will think you're unstable, that they'll take your baby away. So you smile and nod when someone says, enjoy every moment, while inside, you're drowning. Why does no one talk about this? Because anxiety doesn't look the way people expect. It's not always panic attacks or hyperventilating. Sometimes, it's the mother who seems perfectly put together, the one who sterilizes every bottle 3 times, who never takes her eyes off the baby monitor, who researches every possible illness until 3 a.m. Society praises her as such a good mom, not realizing that her vigilance is born from terror, not love alone. Studies from the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry reveal that postpartum anxiety often goes undiagnosed because mothers, and even doctors, mistake it for normal adjustment. But when your fear keeps you from sleeping even when the baby is asleep, when it makes your chest tighten every time someone else holds your child, when it convinces you that disaster is always one breath away, that's not adjustment. That's suffering. And here's the cruelest part, the very systems that should help often make it worse. Well-meaning visitors who say, just relax, as if anxiety is a choice. Doctors who dismiss rapid heartbeat and dizziness as just hormones without digging deeper. Partners who don't understand why you can't stop overthinking. The isolation of new motherhood magnifies it all, the loneliness of being the only one awake at 4 a.m., trapped in a loop of catastrophic thoughts. A study in Archives of Women's Mental Health found that mothers with postpartum anxiety are less likely to seek help than those with depression because they fear judgment. They're told they're just being careful, that it's natural to worry. But when worry becomes a prison, it's anything but natural. So how do you heal? First, by breaking the silence. By saying out loud, this is happening to me, without shame. Because anxiety thrives in secrecy, it convinces you that you're the only one, that something is fundamentally wrong with you. But you are not broken. Your brain, rewired by pregnancy and birth, is in protective overdrive. A Nature neuroscience study found that motherhood changes the brain's gray matter, heightening areas tied to threat detection. In ancient times, this kept babies alive. Now, it leaves mothers exhausted, scanning for dangers that rarely come. Healing begins with small rebellions against the fear. It's letting someone else hold the baby while you take a shower, and not rushing out in terror. It's writing down your worst fears and realizing they lose power in the light. It's therapy, yes, but also the radical act of admitting, I need help. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, has been shown in numerous studies, Journal of Affective Disorders, to rewire anxious thought patterns, teaching the brain new ways to respond. Medication can be a lifeline for some, not a failure, but a reset for a chemically overwhelmed system. And then there's the most underrated medicine of all, community. Finding the other mothers who whisper, me too. Who nod when you say, I keep imagining the worst. Who don't offer platitudes but sit with you in the dark until it feels less terrifying. This isn't about fixing yourself. It's about reclaiming motherhood from the grip of fear. It's about learning that love doesn't have to hurt, that you can care deeply without being consumed. The journey isn't linear. Some days, the anxiety will roar back, triggered by a fever or a headline or nothing at all. But slowly, you'll build a new relationship with your mind. You'll notice the intrusive thoughts without letting them steer. You'll breathe through the tightness in your chest until it loosens. And one day, you'll realize you're present, really present, watching your child laugh without a single "what if" interrupting the moment. That's the secret no one tells you. Postpartum anxiety doesn't have to be forever. The same brain that learned to fear can learn to trust again. It takes time. It takes support. But the light exists, even when you can't see it yet. So if you're reading this with your heart racing, know this: you are not alone. You are not failing. And healing? It's already begun. Let's pull back the curtain on this silent struggle. Postpartum anxiety isn't just worrying about whether the baby is eating enough or if they're hitting milestones on time. It's an all-consuming dread that wraps itself around every thought, every decision, every moment of what should be joy. It's the mother who can't sleep because she's convinced that if she closes her eyes, something terrible will happen. It's the woman who avoids driving with her baby because she's played out 100 car crash scenarios in her head. It's the new mom who feels her heart pound when her phone buzzes, bracing for bad news even when there's no reason to. This isn't just stress. This is a physiological response, your body stuck in fight or flight mode, adrenaline pumping even when there's no real danger. Research from the Journal of Psychosomatic Obstetrics and Gynecology explains that postpartum anxiety is linked to the massive hormonal shifts after birth. Estrogen and progesterone, which skyrocket during pregnancy, plummet within hours of delivery. Cortisol, the stress hormone, surges. For some women, this biochemical roller coaster leaves the nervous system in chaos, interpreting everyday moments as emergencies. And then there's the guilt. The crushing weight of feeling like you should be happy. You waited for this baby, dreamed of them, and now that they're here, you're paralyzed by fear. You scroll through social media seeing other moms who seem so calm, so put together, and you wonder, why can't I be like that? What you don't see are the other mothers doing the same thing, posting their highlight reels while hiding their own anxiety behind closed doors. Pregnancy books prepare you for labor pains, for sleepless nights, for diaper changes. But no one tells you about the mental landmines. No one says, you might feel like you're losing your mind, and that's okay. Society romanticizes motherhood as this blissful, instinctive role, but the truth is messier. The truth is that becoming a mother is a seismic identity shift, and anxiety is often the body's response to that upheaval. Part of the problem is how we frame normal postpartum experiences. Doctors screen for depression but rarely ask about anxiety unless a mother is visibly struggling. A study in pediatrics found that pediatricians, who see new mothers frequently, often miss the signs because they're focused on the baby's health, not the mother's mental state. And when anxiety is acknowledged, it's often minimized. Oh, all new moms worry. As if that makes it easier to bear. But here's what we need to say instead: your fear is real, but it doesn't have to rule you. Healing from postpartum anxiety isn't about snapping out of it or thinking positive. It's about retraining your brain to recognize safety again. Here's how that can happen. 1. Name it to tame it. Anxiety thrives in ambiguity. When you put words to your fears, I'm scared my baby will stop breathing, they lose some of their power. Writing them down or saying them aloud to a trusted person helps your brain process them as thoughts, not prophecies. 2. Ground yourself in the present. Anxiety lives in the what-ifs of the future. Grounding techniques, like focusing on your breath, feeling the weight of your body in a chair, or listing things you can see, hear, and touch, pull you back into the present moment, where you and your baby are okay. 3. Challenge the worst-case scenario. Your brain is wired to protect, so it jumps to the scariest possibility. Ask yourself, what's more likely to happen? If your fear is what if I drop the baby? Remind yourself, I've held them safely 1,000 times before. 4. Let someone else carry the weight. You don't have to do this alone. Let your partner, a friend, or a family member take over for an hour so you can rest. The world won't end if you step away, in fact, it might help you reset. 5. Find your people. Online forums, support groups, or even one understanding friend can make all the difference. Hearing others say, I felt that too reminds you that you're not broken, you're human. Healing isn't about erasing anxiety completely, it's about making space for joy again. It's about holding your baby and feeling warmth instead of dread. It's about laughing at their silly faces without a voice in your head whispering, but what if? This isn't just possible, it's probable. With time, support, and the right tools, the fog will lift. You'll look back and realize how far you've come. And one day, you'll be the one holding another mother's hand, saying, I know. I've been there too. And it gets better. Because it does. It really, truly does.